screaming, we always holler back.
That I wanted to make you aware of. This is going to be our August meeting. There is going to be on the ballot for Allen County House, and it's going to be a redesign of county government, or a proposal to redesign county government. And I found it's House Bill 1243, and read what 1243 is all about, because next month we are going to have a discussion amongst us about this particular initiative. Now, this initiative actually doesn't take place in Allen County until 2019. And it's changing the structure, or proposal to change the structure. I have sent out invitations to all county commissioners, to all county councilmen, and Roy Buskirk, who is here from the county council, and Nelson Peters from the county commissioners are going to be the featured speakers, and kind of talking about what's good and what's bad about trying to do this. I've also sent out invitations to all county council members. And so far, I have had, plus Pat Miller's going to moderate it for us, which I thought that ought to be rather interesting. We have had confirmation from Kevin Howell will be here, Darren Voigt will be here, Tom Harris will be here, Roy Buskirk will be here. I haven't heard from the other councilman. Nelson Peters is the only commissioner I've heard, but I will continue to kind of encourage them to come. And I also had an email from John Crawford. I did not invite the city council people from Fort Wayne, but I think I will. Or actually, it was Steve Carey. He's the one who he sent the email to the city council people, and thank you for doing that, Steve, and I'll follow up with that. I put the bill in front of you today, so you've got a month to read about it. Now, I don't know what to think about it. And so I guess I'm a little leery to say too much of anything, because I don't want to prejudice you one way or the other. Read about it, come up with your own thoughts and your own ideas, and then we will be prepared to have an interesting discussion in August. So that's part of the reason why you have this House bill. Please make sure that you've got this to take home with you so you can read about it and be prepared to ask questions. Okay.
There is one thing on that. When you look at House Bill, and it makes reference to an Indiana code that you can't find because it's a new Indiana code and it's part of the bill. So if you keep on continuing to read the bill, I think it's section 15. That is actually the Indiana code that the first part of the bill is making reference.
It took me a while to find the bill, and so if you go to the General Assembly website and you look up HB 1243. It'll pull up the entire bill, and it'll pull up all of the particulars of the bill, which I didn't print off because I think it's like 20 pages, the bill. And so this is a summary of what it is, and okay, Kayvon is here and Juanita is here. Hi, ladies. So now we will move into our meeting. Last month, if you will remember, I had shared with everybody that we were going to start to do from the book, The 5,000 Year Leap, which the 912 groups are actually founded on many of those principles. We were going to start to study some of the principles that were in the 5,000 Year Leap. And we reviewed last month Principle 26, which had to do with the family, that a great society needed the family structure. Our focus tonight is education. And so I was reading through the 5,000 Year Leap and looked for principle number 23. And this is what principle 23 says. A free society cannot survive as a republic without a broad program of general education. A movement for universal education began in New England as far back as 1647. John Adams had written, "Liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people. They have a right and indisputable, dreaded and envied kind of knowledge of the characters and the conduct of their rulers." Then it was the monarchy then, and it is our government today. Alex de Tocqueville was commenting in 1831 of the zeal for universal education that had spread throughout New England and the other states, and was amazed by the fruits of that labor. In New England, every citizen received the elementary notions of human knowledge. Now, I am quoting from de Tocqueville's book. I wouldn't necessarily talk this way, but that's the way he did. The person is taught the doctrines and the evidences of his religion, the history of his country, and the leading features of its constitution. And it is extremely rare to find a person imperfectly acquainted with these things. In other words, doesn't know anything about it. Programs of universal education and the preservation of freedom are essential. The citizen will inform you what his rights are and by what means he exercises them. Critical to this is the early education of young children using a popular textbook entitled Catechism on the Constitution. Someday, Google that and read that book. I mean, it was for early young children, and it's about the equivalent of high school today. That's how far we have fallen in education-wise. Another book that was extremely popular was a book of religion, otherwise the Bible. It taught man his own individual responsibility, his own dignity, and how was his equality with his fellow man. And as we know, the Bible is not used very often in schools today. Now, there is a common thread running through our speakers tonight, and that common thread is education. Judge Davis shared with us last month, which was sad. She said, when people come through her courtroom as adults, for the most part, they're too far over the cliff. That's sad. That is truly sad. Money isn't necessarily the issue, because in Indiana, $18.7 billion is spent per year on education. Now, I'm assuming, and Senator Cruz could talk to that, that's probably higher education as well as K through 12. Over $9 billion is spent every year by our federal government on Head Start. This year, the 2015 federal budget that has been proposed by the president is $3.8 trillion. Now, I want to introduce you to our speakers very briefly, and then each one of them will have an opportunity to tell you more about themselves. I have said if you people would take 10 to 15 minutes, kind of give us a general overview of what you do and how you are involved in our community with education. And then, based on what they have told you, I am hoping that we will have a very critical, thought-provoking conversation on how can we help. The first person is Mrs. Kayvon Daly. Would you raise your hand, Kayvon? She is the Executive Director of Friends of Bethany, and she works with single moms with children and women returning to society after incarceration. And her right-hand person that helps her is Mrs. Juanita Tolbert. Juanita, she is an educator. In fact, I think she knows Dr. Zaire. And so there's education history there. Then we have Dr. Jeannie Zaire, who is the Director of Community Impact with the Allen County United Way, and she facilitates community education programs, was the best way I knew how to say it. And then, last but certainly not least, somebody we know and have a lot of high regard for is our State Senator Dennis Cruz, who is charged by the voters to pass legislation beneficial to Hoosiers, which include education. And the one thing I forgot to mention, but I did want to bring up, there were only 3 people on the Education Roundtable that voted no on Common Core. Senator Cruz is one of those. Thank you. I have been watching, and I have not seen where you have been banished to the other side of the room because of your position with Common Core, so I don't know. It's being kept a well-guarded secret, apparently, if you have. One thing I wanted you to know is that Governor Mike Pence is heavily promoting a state-funded preschool program. It started, listen to these people, these speakers, and please be prepared to have a thoughtful discussion on this serious problem facing our community and our country. And I would like to start with Kayvon. You need to come up here. Oh, okay.
Those individuals to the community organizations that can offer services to them to help them reintegrate back in society and overcome those challenges. So I believe it's going to have a huge impact eventually, and maybe Senator Cruz can talk about that more, but just from what I'm reading, I think, again, you know, the jails are already populated, families are broken, and, you know, I believe that, you know, if we break the law, we should, you know, be punished for the law. I strongly agree with that, but I do believe that some individuals are in more need of therapy than maybe incarceration. Most women that are incarcerated are there because of substance abuse and domestic violence. So more of non-violent offenses. In the past, they've been incarcerated for those reasons. So the burden on the community will be more tax dollars, most likely going toward the mental health agencies and things like that. So, yes.
On the question here, as far as it having any effect, it just went into effect July 1st.
Right.
So I mean, it hasn't.
It hasn't yet. You know,
but it will.
It will, absolutely. And my heart goes out to to all those working in the criminal justice system. I was in court yesterday. We offer mentoring service to some of the ladies that are involved in the reentry court, and already there's, I don't know exactly how many, but I know there's a lot of dollars that's going toward the reentry court and hiring case managers to supervise those individuals there. I can only imagine they'll need to hire more. So eventually it will have a very a great impact on our communities, and I would say more tax dollars going out the door. But I don't know how you balance that, because it costs a lot to house inmates as well in the state prison. So again, 2015, I believe those that if they've been sentenced for a year or less will be housed in the jails. So yes.
Yvonne, one more thing, and then we'll let Juanita come up, and
Sure.
because we'll have these questions at the end. Would you explain to our group what wifey status is?
We talked about that. I get chuckled every time, because it's really something that's uncommon. And yeah, to me, and I can't believe that some of the young ladies listen to it. We offer group mentoring sessions, and actually at one of our maybe first or second group session, we met with a group of young ladies, the millennials between the age of 18 to 29, and single moms. And so a hot topic around our table is relationships, healthy relationships, what that looks like and so forth. But we try to get an idea of what their relationships look like. So the young ladies had mentioned to me that in today's society, it's acceptable for a mate or man, a significant other, to have more than one girlfriend. And whomever he treats as a wife has wifey status. So I thought, how crazy is that? Of course, no commitment, there's no commitment there. STDs, it would be a huge problem there. But then, when we talk with the ladies, it's important to us that they understand that their life has value. God has given their life value, and to agree to such a relationship is definitely a devaluing of life. And I think it's being a poor role model before their children, having multiple partners. So I think it's probably something we've heard of before. It hasn't been acceptable in our society, maybe among a few like Mormons and things like that, but it's just really, to me, a bizarre thing that a young woman would accept that from anyone. So yeah, that's wifey status. But I get so chuckled about that, because I thought, and I said, you guys go for that, really? That's acceptable, really? So yeah.
Juanita, would you like to tell? I'm going to move this way. Would you like to?
Okay. Dr. Zero know about all the electronic stuff. My name is Juanita Tolbert, and I am an educator. Dr. Zare and I worked many years together in East Allen County Schools, and we also worked with the Friends of Bethany for years. I was a teacher first. Dr. Zare was principal, and then I became an assistant principal under her. And then I got my own principalship, and so we worked some at central office together, and we just have gone through years as educators enjoying helping children and teaching children. And that was always my love. That's what I'm supposed to do here on planet Earth, and I'm still doing it. I retired from East Allen County Schools 2012, but if you retired, you know that retirement doesn't really mean retirement these days, because you still get pulled back into some things. And I'm very active still, working with children in various places and schools and Literacy Alliance, which are not children, but just education is my love. I'm not sure how many years it has been, but Dr. Zare introduced me to Friends of Bethany, And I had known Rosa Chapman for a few years, but didn't know all that she did. But once I found out and I was introduced to that organization, I just kind of fell in love with it. And I guess one of the ironic things about it is what we're working with now as young ladies, and I raised all sons. So it has really been a interesting and learning experience to me.
Five sons.
6 sons.
Oh, six. I lost count.
Yes. So what I do at Friends of Bethany is work with the children. And as Kayvon and other mentors are working with the young ladies, I and another retired teacher work with the children. And what we try to do is see where they are, if they need any help, if they're on grade level. And we go through pretty much, since we are retired teachers, some of the things that the teachers would go through. And we, have materials. And we also make ourselves available to parents. Sometimes parents don't know how to access the resources that the schools have. And sometimes there's a block there between parents and teachers. Well, I've been a parent, I've been a teacher, I've been a principal, I've been a administrator, so I really feel I have an advantage on how to help both sides. The child, the schools, and helping the schools relate to the parents and the parents relate to the school. So I enjoy, just doing that. But one of the greatest things that you all did, and it just brought tears to my eyes, was supply books to us. Many children, especially children in poverty, don't have developmentally appropriate books in their homes to read or for someone to read to them. And just to have books that they can read. And sometimes one parent even asked me, she said, well, I can't help my children with it, too much because I'm not a good reader. I said, well, we have books. And especially if your children are small, we have books that don't have words. They start out with pictures. So there are so many advantages of children having books in their homes. And you all supplied us with crates of books, which our children have been using this summer, and it is such a wonderful thing. Thank you. So, any questions?
Okay, Juanita, I'll have Jeannie get up now and talk.
In sumo wrestling suits. Those big padded things you can rent from Party Apart. It was part of the school carnival. And the kids paid for tickets to watch that. And we'd be talking to each other through our suits. I go, okay, you jump on me now. Okay, now I'll jump on you. I think she won, if I remember right. It's just a crazy picture to have in your head. We had a good time. We had so much fun. My name is Jeannie Sear, and I'm a Christian disguised as the Director of Community Impact for United Way. And when I took the position, I had a good friend who said, Jeannie, I can't believe you're working for United Way. It's not a Christian organization. And I said, your husband works for Raytheon. It's not either. She goes, okay, I get your point. So we are called to be salt and light, are we not? No matter where we go. And my life verse is Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the pattern of this world. We could just spend some time on that one, couldn't we? But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is for your life, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And we have a lot of families, a lot of women coming out of prison, a lot of children who don't know what God's will is. They don't know who God is. And they don't know what they're supposed to do with their life. And what I have been impressed about as I have gotten to learn the agencies, the social service agencies, and many of them are Christian, that receive funding from United Way, is that they really work hard with people to get themselves to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. And we need that. We need more of that in our country. And I have the honor of traveling internationally. I just got back from the Netherlands, and Every time I come home, Senator, I thank God for Indiana. Because when I'm out there in the world, I'm like, wow, there is something really special about the heartland of the United States. And I do thank God every time I come home. We have an amazing place in Indiana, and we need to hold on to it. We need to protect it. It is a wonderful thing. There's many programs that United Way helps support and fund to help young children, and one of them I've been really excited to be a part about is called Let's Talk. And believe it or not, there are a lot of mothers that don't understand when they have a baby that you need to talk to them. Because they'll say, well, he's not talking to me, why should I talk to him? But that's how the brain grows. And lots and lots and lots of language, lots of books. For example, some interesting research is that newborn infants respond to black on white or white on black the most. They don't need color. That's what they see. And infants, newborns, see and recognize faces right away. Eyes, nose, mouth. And so God has wired newborns to connect with mothers. And mothers need to get that message a little more strongly, that it's so important you spend a lot of time bonding with that newborn. And we're really concerned because across all economic and demographics, we're seeing a lot of moms. Just next time you're at Arby's or McDonald's and there's a baby in a high chair, I want you to notice, what is the mom doing? Texting. This is honest to gosh truth. My husband and I are waiting at a table at a nice restaurant on a Saturday morning. That's our big thing, Saturday morning breakfast out. And there's a mom and dad and maybe an 8-year-old daughter, and they're sitting at a table and waiting. They'd already given their order. He was texting. Dad was texting. He was texting. Never, and the mom talked a little bit to the child, but the dad never spoke to that child. He's busy texting. And here's the part that blew me away. He reached over and took his wife's phone, and with his left hand, he started texting. And he was going back, he was two-handed texting. I went, I wish I'd have gotten my phone out and videoed it. I could not believe what I was seeing. Text with both hands, first left, then right, back to left, then right. His food came, the waitress put his big old plate of food down, he didn't stop. He didn't stop, he kept texting for another 1 or 2 minutes. And for my husband, food trumps everything. He would always give up texting for food. So it really was, I thought, ironic and a picture of where we're going. If we're not careful, technology is taking over. And God wired us for relationships, to be human to human and not to be human to machine. So we do have to be a bit careful about that. And so this message is being delivered by all of the nurses at the new Parkview North. Every baby that's born, the mother is given this little gift box with this little book and this is supposed to be a washcloth. We call it the baby beach towel. It's a little big for a baby. It says, let's talk at bath time. And just to help encourage mothers that when you change your baby's diaper, when you give him a bath, when you give her breakfast, talk, so that she can develop an amazing mind. And then we have a couple resources in here about why. Why do you talk to your baby? While dressing, while cooking, at mealtime, at bath time, at bedtime, while going somewhere, at the laundromat. But now, if you go down the road at night, have you noticed SUVs? And what's on the back of mom and dad's seat for the kids? Yeah, DVD players. Some of you got them, didn't you? Yeah, I bet some of you got it. And it is wonderful. It is a wonderful thing to entertain children, especially if you're driving to Florida.